Okay guys, welcome back. In this video, I want to explain three quick and simple things. Okay, the first thing, I just want to show you how to find statistical data with doing little or no work by using a calculator. And of course, the calculator we're using is the TI-84 Plus, which you can download to your computer. I put the link below. The second thing I want to do is intro some basic statistical vocabulary you're going to need as we work with measures of central tendency and dispersion. And then of course the third thing I want to show you, and then we'll be done, is to just basically take what we learned and just apply it to Regents questions and other standardized testing questions, so that this way when you do these questions, instead of doing all the mathematical work to get your answers, you throw it in the calculator, it gives you everything you need, and you get it right. Okay, so let's dive right into it. Basically, we already talked about measures of central tendency in the last lesson I did, and I'll put a card up at the top for you to click on that and watch it if you need it. We talked about mean, median, and mode. What I want to add to that is dispersion. Basically, guys, dispersion is how spread out the values in a data set are. Now, there are three types, and we already talked about one of them. The first one I talked about in the previous lesson was range. Remember what I said about range, the difference of the max value and the minimum value. So when you see range, all I want you to know about range is max minus the min, okay? So basically everything's gonna go in the calculator, and all you're gonna have to be responsible for is just subtracting. Simple. Same thing with interquartile range, but instead of max minus min, when it's interquartile range, that is the difference of the third quartile and the first quartile. So when you see interquartile range, notice there's a Q here for quartile. It's always Q3 minus Q1 always. And then of course, the third type of dispersion is standard deviation, okay, which measures how the values vary or deviate from the mean or average in a data set. Now, we're going to be able to take all this information, throw it in the calculator. The calculator will just give us everything we need instead of doing the work mathematically. Now, one more thing that really you just need your eyes for. The calculator is not going to give you this. You don't have to solve anything. You literally just have to look, and you will find what we call an outlier. Guys, an outlier is basically a data that is much greater or much less than the other data values in a set. For example, you have 10, 14, 21, 13, 23, 25, 27, and then all of a sudden I throw 100 in there. Well, clearly the 100 is nowhere near these numbers. That is your outlier. You use your eyes for that, guys. Nothing to solve. Like the previous lesson, it's the same three steps. You're going to clear your calculator with second plus 712, and then we're going to be using our stat enter buttons again. Everything with measures of central tendency and dispersion always go into the L1 column, and then of course to get our answers, stat, right arrow, enter, and then you scroll down and the calculator will give you everything you need. Quick and easy. No reason to get this wrong on a Regents or a standardized test. Let's look at some questions. Okay guys, let's take a look at the first example here. It says the set of data below represents the number of runs scored by one youth baseball team over the course of a season. And it says find the mean, standard deviation, min, Q1, median, Q3, max, range, and interquartile range of the baseball scorers above. So this would be an example of a part 2 Regents question. They're telling you what they want, and all you have to do is list it out. Yes, we can solve this mathematically and find this information, but guys, you don't need to. Go to your calculator and put all your numbers in. Let's go to the calc now and dive into it. Before we do anything, remember, clear your calculator, second function, plus sign, 7, 1, 2, enter. You hit stat enter, and now put in the numbers. So it's 4, enter, 8, enter, 5, enter, 12, 3, 9, 5, enter, 2, enter. Once they're all in, you hit stat right, stat right, enter, and there you go. The first thing that pops up is your mean average, which is 6. And now scroll down until it says max, and now you have everything else you need. So let's start identifying this information. So we said the mean was 6. Now remember, this is your standard deviation right here, this symbol. So this is a large decimal, guys. Round it to the thousandths place. So 3.16, and this is going to stay 2 because that 2 is going to keep this the same. It's less than 5, right? So 3.162. Now your min value is 2. Q1 is 3.5. Median is 5. Q3 is 8.5. And your max, your largest value, guys, is 12. Now, also remember what we said. There is nothing that says range equals here. Whenever you see the word range, you're always subtracting your max value minus the min value. Your max was 12 minus the min of 2. Your range is 10. An interquartile range, same thing. Remember the Q in interquartile range. It's Q3 minus Q1. Q3 is 8.5 minus Q1 is 3.5. And 8.5 minus 3.5, guys, is 5. And that is your interquartile range. So that's how you do it, putting all the values into the calculator so you don't have to do mathematical work in order to get your measures of central tendency and dispersion. Let's look at a Part 1 Regents question. Okay, guys, let's look at the second question we have here. Now, notice this is a Regents Part 1 question. Okay, it says the 15 members of a French club sold candy bars to help fund their trip to Quebec. The table below shows the number of candy bars each member sold. And now instead of the numbers being written out horizontally, notice the Regents put the data into a table. You treat it the same way. And now what they want to know is it says when referring to the data, which statement is false? And basically when they're asking for something false, they're asking for something that is not true. So even though these are in a table, we can still use our calculator. Go to your calculator and of course we clear it, second plus 712 enter. And then it's stat enter, and you just put the numbers in. 0, 45, enter, 68, 35, 50, 68, 38, 53, 68, 41, 53, 72, 43, 55, and of course 120. And as they're all in, guys, you hit stat, right, enter. And there you go, you have everything you need. Now let's just take a look at these choices really quick. I highlighted the measures of central tendency and dispersion. We have median, so we need the calculator for that. Interquartile range and range, we need the calculator for that. Notice here you have that word outliers we talked about before. Remember, outliers you just need your eyes for. That's it. Okay, pick the numbers that look like they don't belong. So we'll talk about that in a second. For right now, let's find the median, interquartile range, and then we will compare and analyze the data. Well, when I scroll down on my calculator, all that information comes up, everything we need. So let's identify it and write it out on the Regents. Make your life easy, write it out so you can compare right on the particular question you're working on. So for our median, we got 53. Our interquartile range, remember interquartile range is Q3 minus Q1. Q3, 68 minus Q1, 41, and you get 27. So the interquartile range, IR, I'm going to label that, interquartile range is 27. And now for the range, guys, remember, nothing says range equals in the calculator. That's your max minus your min. The max is 120. The min is 0. Your range is 120. Okay, now let's check all these answers. Choice 1 says the median is 53. Well, guys, that's what I got for my median. That is true. They don't want the true answer. They want the answer that is false. So that is not my answer. Choice 2 says the data have 2 outliers. Well, guys, that is also true, and here's why. Are there any numbers that look like they don't belong? Yes, 0 and 120. Because you have numbers in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. Then all of a sudden you have a number that's 120 and a number that is 0. These numbers are way higher and lower than the rest of the numbers. That's why they're outliers. That is also true. You get rid of it. Choice 3 says the interquartile range is 15. Well, guys, your interquartile range we got was 27. That is your answer because that is false, and that is your answer here. And then, of course, choice 4 says the range is 120. That was also true. That is also not the answer. All right, so using our calculator, we are able to analyze a Part 1 Regents question and get it correct. Let's look at one more. All right, guys, let's look at the third and final Regents question. Okay, it says the dot plot shown below represents the number of pets owned by students in a class. Now, don't be concerned about the values being in a dot plot. It's really the same thing as all the numbers written horizontally. So basically the way you would read this is the number 0, and because you have 2 dots, that means you have 2 zeros. Since you have 2 dots for 1, that means you're going to put 1 2 times in the calculator. And as you put the number 2 in the calculator, you're going to put number 2 in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. That's basically how you read this. So once again, like all the other charts and tables, it's just like as if the numbers were written horizontally, you throw them in the calculator. Now it says which statement about the data is not true, all right? And of course they talked about median, interquartile range, mean, and outliers. So let's go to our calculator, clear it out, and put the information in our calculator so we can analyze the data. You hit Stat Enter, and remember, like we said, there's 2 dots for 0, so 0 goes in the calculator twice, as well as 1. Now just be careful, there are 5 dots for 2, so make sure you put 2 in the calculator 5 times. Same thing for 3, that also goes in the calculator 5 times. Notice there are 3 4s, that goes in the calculator 3 times. There are 2 5s, and there's 1 6. That's how you enter this dot plot into the calculator. Stat, right, enter. And there's your information. Now the mean is 2.75. We needed the mean. We also need the median and the interquartile range. So now you have the rest of your information. Let's write this information out. And hopefully, guys, this pen that I have here works because it's been a little crazy lately. So we want what's not true, of course. So we wanted the mean first. The mean, 2.75. Now we needed the median. Median was 3. And of course, interquartile range, Q3 minus Q1. So Q3 is 4 minus, Q1 of 2. Q1 is 2, 4 minus 2, and your interquartile range is 2. Okay, so it says the median is 3. Well, when you look at the data you got, that is true. We don't want true, guys. We want not true or false, so therefore that is not our answer. It says the interquartile range is 2. Well, that's what we got over here. That is also true. We don't want true. We want false. It says the mean is 3. Now, if you look at the mean, we got 2.75. And even though this can round up to 3, it's still not 3. 2.75 is different from 3. Therefore, that is our answer because that is the choice that is false. And now choice 4 says the data contains no outliers, guys. That is also true, okay? Because if you notice, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they're all close together. There is no crazy large number or crazy small number in this data set. So guys, that's basically it. That's using a calculator as a shortcut to find measures of central tendency and dispersion. Email me with any questions you have at bwritingcihs@yahoo.com. Please download the lesson worksheet, and of course, if you need, download the calculator. All right. Subscribe, like, and share if you know someone that needs to see this. And of course, as always, thank you for watching, guys. And please continue to, you and your family, please continue to stay safe. I will see you on the next lesson.